In the summer of 1944, every high-ranking official in Washington knew a secret they couldn't speak out loud. The president was dying. But as the Democratic Party gathered to pick his successor, they weren't looking for a leader to win the war. They were looking for a placeholder to fill a vacuum. Franklin Roosevelt didn't choose a vice president in 1944. He allowed one to be selected around him, turning the most important succession in history into an act of clinical containment. By the summer of 1944, Roosevelt's physical decline was visible to anyone permitted close enough to see it. The party did not need medical charts to understand the arithmetic. A fourth term was a gamble measured in months, not years. The vice presidency, therefore, ceased to be ceremonial. It became a delayed transfer of authority in the middle of a global war. Publicly, the ticket was about continuity. Privately, it was about risk management. Henry Wallace represented that risk. As vice president, he had built an independent base of loyalty that extended beyond the party machinery. He spoke in moral absolutes, treated economic reform as an end rather than a bargaining position, and displayed a comfort with mass enthusiasm that unsettled those who lived by leverage and negotiation. Wallace did not violate party rules. He exposed their limits. His popularity meant he could not be ignored, and his unpredictability meant he could not be controlled. The problem was not ideology alone. It was structure. Wallace believed the vice presidency could be used as a platform. Party leadership believed it existed to be silent. In a moment when succession was likely, silence became the requirement. The system did not need a vision. It needed a placeholder who would not reinterpret the office before inheriting it. Roosevelt did not intervene decisively. This is often framed as avoidance or exhaustion, but it functioned as delegation. By withholding a clear preference, he allowed party brokers to negotiate an outcome that preserved internal balance without implicating him directly. His health limited his energy, but it also shielded him from accountability. The absence of instruction became permission. The men managing the convention were not attempting to shape the future. They were attempting to prevent it from being shaped by someone else. Candidates were evaluated less for competence than for friction. James Burns carried too much Southern baggage and too clear a power base. William O. Douglas introduced legal independence and regional imbalance. Each option created a problem that could not be predicted away. Harry Truman did not. His appeal lay in his constraints. He had no national movement, no philosophical constituency, and no expectation of elevation. His political identity was procedural rather than ideological. He understood committees, compromise, and deference. He had built a reputation for investigating inefficiency without challenging hierarchy. In a system optimized for stability, this read as reliability. When pressure came, it came framed as obligation rather than opportunity. The argument was not that he should lead, but that he should prevent fracture. Unity during wartime was invoked not as a principle, but as a threat. Refusal was cast as irresponsibility. Consent was extracted through fear of consequence, not promise of power. Once nominated, Truman entered an office designed to obscure him. Roosevelt did not brief him on strategy, diplomacy, or weapons development. This was not personal neglect. It was institutional habit. The vice presidency had not been constructed as a preparatory role, and the system did not adapt to circumstance. Information flowed vertically, not contingently. Truman's proximity to power remained theoretical. When Roosevelt died, the abstraction collapsed. Truman inherited decisions already in motion, agreements already implied, and technologies already built. He assumed command without context, not because of negligence, but because context had been hoarded. The office he stepped into had been designed to receive authority, not understanding. The decision in 1944 reveals a political system more concerned with internal equilibrium than with preparedness. Power was transferred not through intention, but through avoidance. Truman was acceptable because he promised nothing and threatened no existing alignment. The selection solved the immediate problem by deferring the structural one. And this pattern recurs wherever stability is preserved by choosing figures defined more by what they are not than by what they are.